Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And today I have a little something different that I want to discuss with you guys. Yes, a little short film dropped just about a week ago, and it's really something. And I figured, if there's any time that I'm going to get to talk about a specific character that I am a huge fan of, many people are a huge fan of, this might be my only opportunity. And well, who is that character? Well, just so happens to be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yes, I am here to discuss The Spider, which is a 9-minute short film that dropped just last weekend, starring Walking Dead's own Chandler Riggs as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. But hold on, this just isn't any regular old Spider-Man. No, this is a Spider-Man horror film, and boy, it's got some really how do I put this? They're really disturbing but cool elements to it, and yeah, I think we'd all enjoy diving into it.
What?
Right off the top, I can say that Spider-Man at its core of a concept is actually pretty creepy and terrifying when you really sit back and think about it. Take away the glitz and glam and, the suit and, the cool bad guys and all that, and what are you left with but a student who gets bitten by a radioactive spider and slowly starts to shift and transform down to his DNA, changing to where now he has these powers that allow him to climb up walls and give him super strength and shoot webs out of his body if you're going off of certain versions. And yeah, it's fun, it's neat, but there is a lot of opportunity there to really lean into some body horror elements. And yeah, I think that this short film really got that concept. In fact, the only other person I would say, other than the folks behind this one, who kind of got that element was, of course, Horror Zone Sam Raimi. If you go back and look at those old Raimi films, there is body horror subtly coded throughout all of those films, especially the first one. I mean, the little things coming out of his fingers that are supposed to say, hey, he's climbing walls, the little nightmares that he has as he's changing. Like, it's subtle, but it's definitely there. However, the spider takes those subtleties and completely tosses them out the window. No, we are going full blown monster Spider-Man here. And yeah, it does a really good job. So why don't we get into a little bit and I'll talk about some of those elements that just really impressed me about this short film. For instance, early on in the short, Peter gets hit by a car just after getting bit by the spider. The driver is not a good person and steps out and walks over to this high school kid and decides, I'm going to take his wallet. And, Peter being wimpy and not really being able to stand up for himself and, reasonably at this moment after getting hit by a car, decides, okay, I'm going to try to push this guy off. He grabs his hand. And if you know anything about Spider-Man movies or Spider-Man lore, one of the first things that comes up is the sticky fingers. And boy, do they use that effectively, because he grabs this dude's hand and his flesh just starts ripping right off the bone. And the dude is screaming. And admittedly, it is not the best looking blood effect in the world. But I mean, it's a short film. They're working with a very limited budget. And I gotta say, I appreciate that element to it. It's much more interesting than seeing him, rip a towel rack or a subway pole. A little later on, we see him taking a page out of Alex Wolf's book and taking a nap in the middle of class, only for him to have a complete physical and mental breakdown. Yes, he lifts his head up and he's got all this goo and goop coming out of his face. It could be snot, it could be webbing, could be a little something else, but yeah, it's completely gross, and he just starts screaming because obviously something is changing in Peter, and it is not good. It is not it's not puberty, and it's not your stereotypical Spider-Man stuff. No, this is spooky Spider-Man. This is bad Spider-Man. This is David Cronenberg's Spider-Man. Anyway, I want to take a pit stop and just say that Chandler Riggs isn't given a whole lot to do in this short. I mean, it's really there to kind of showcase the style and the events of this, with it being more of, like I said, a horror Spider-Man take. But I do got to say, he sells the panic and the terror in this scene for me really well. I thought that this was definitely the highlight moment for him of the short film. He looks really uncomfortable, and he's really selling the groans and the pain there for me. So good on you, Chandler. Good job. At this point, we see Peter is then taken off by an ambulance, and we see the medics inside the ambulance doing their best to treat him, but they have no idea what's going on. Peter has no idea what's going on, and he's just getting worse and worse. And the scene climaxes with what looks to be like spider legs busting out of him. You only see it for a split second, but due to a news report that we hear in the next sequence, it's pretty much safe to assume that Peter went full spider mode and absolutely eviscerates these poor medics who were just doing their best to help him. Another really great creative idea and a great spin on this take of, again, being more like The Fly and really leaning into those body horror elements. Just having these new spider appendages kind of morph and shift out of your body. Like, that shit's gonna hurt, and it makes for some pretty impactful visuals. Coming up towards the end of this short, we get Peter going back home. We don't see him at this point. It's safe to assume that he's kind of really changed now. But who do we see watching the news? Well, good old Uncle Ben. And if there's anything we know about a Spider-Man movie, comic book, anything involving good old Uncle Ben, he's gonna fucking die. And yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. I was hoping, because we saw him, just a glimpse of him earlier, that maybe, just maybe, we cut Uncle Ben some slack this time around. No, 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 no. He goes to check on Peter. He's, being real Uncle Ben like, talking about, oh, we got to talk about responsibility and blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't know why they felt that was necessary. I get it. It's a Spider-Man trope, but like, we have heard that speech in so many variations at this point that it's getting absurd. There's only so many ways you can say with great power comes great responsibility. I digress. Point is, Uncle Ben walks in the room. There's spider webbing all over the place, and he screams. And then we cut to who else but Aunt May coming home, and something's a little off. There's a smell in the air that just isn't sitting right with old Aunt May here. She's walking around the house. She's looking for Peter. She's looking for Ben. She walks into the room, and yeah, we get the money shot, ladies and gentlemen. We see Peter Parker full spider mode, eyeballs, little pincers, and all kinds of other spider shit. It looks pretty good, and it was a very satisfying image. But not just that, he's eating Uncle Ben. He's feasting on his corpse. Like, good lord, man. He's been shot several times. I'm sure there's other deaths that have gone on in the comic books, but like, goddamn, you guys just had Peter eat him? Like, holy shit, that was gutsy. I like that. It's twisted. It's fucked up. It makes me sad and happy at the same time. I am a medley of emotions from that sequence, and yeah, overall, I like it. Getting back on track here with the look of Peter or Spider-Man in this iteration, again, I think it is pretty impactful. We don't see it for very long. Again, this is the money shot of the short film. This is kind of what we've been building up to. And, I'm of two minds with it. On one point, it's really cool practical effects. I'm happy they were able to pull this off in this short. And I guess because it's still relatively new into his transformation, I can kind of forgive that it's not the most out there and exciting thing. It's more just gross and kind of neat looking. So again, I'm a little mixed on it. It's clearly taking inspiration from a storyline in one of the Spider-Man comics where he goes to this place called the Savage Land and gets turned into Man Spider. That's the one you went with, Marble. Okay, Man Spider it is. Couldn't think of anything more. Just Man Spider. Okay. One more sequence, kind of a post-credit scene for this short film. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say, if you've stuck with it for this long, It does totally redeem the last element that I talked about. I wish we could have seen it a little bit more, but hey, it's awesome, and I'll leave that for you guys to discover on your own. So now that we've gotten through the short film and we kind of know what's going on, I've talked about some of the elements I really liked, the really amped up horror bits. The question stands, is this something that we would like to see expanded upon, maybe into a feature film? No, not at all. Don't do that. Don't.
Absolutely fucking not.
And I only say that because this is labeled as a fan film, and if you were to try to go like the Mean One or the Winnie the Pooh route, one, some of those are in the public domain, and the other one is a parody film. There would be so much legal jargon, mumbo jumbo, and red tape between Sony, Marvel, and Disney that this wouldn't even resemble what it is in this form by the time you get it into a full feature that they could sell. And by that logic, I really just think that it would be better if this team wanted to push forward with this and kind of tell a Spider-Man story or a Man-Spider story that isn't tied into the Marvel universe. Go ahead and come up with something original. Now, you could harken back to things like Earth versus the Spider, or other kind of, like we said, Cronenberg-esque The Fly territory with this, and really come up with your own idea that of course has been done, but you can bring your own flair to it. And clearly this is something the team was passionate about, and like I said, I'd like to see Chandler Riggs get to kind of stretch his legs a little bit here. I don't think he's that bad. He really just doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and unfortunately everybody that he interacts with he ends up killing and eating, other than say a handful of people in class. So yeah, it's really a mixed bag for me, but I gotta say, as far as the short film goes, this was really well done. This is a lot of fun, and I really think that this is worth checking out. Again, it's 9 minutes. It's not going to take up your whole day, and I really think that both horror fans and Marvel fans will get a lot out of this. That's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Let me know what you thought of The Spider. Go ahead and go to their channel. I got it popping up right here, and there's a link to the video in the description. Show them some love. They did a great job on this. And yeah, let me know if you guys like this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I might do more of these. They have a Shrek Fiona horror film on their channel. Maybe if you like this one, I'll talk about that. I don't know. It seems kind of neat. I haven't watched it myself, so we'll see. But yeah, anyway, like I said, hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, then I'm going to turn myself into a man spider, and I am going to come eat your uncle.
And if its name is Ben, if his name's Ben or Benny or Benjamin, that's great. That's bonus points. I don't discriminate against Bens, but if it's not, I'll still eat him. So hit that subscribe button, or I'll kill and feast on your uncle's flesh. And if you do not want that, just please hit the sub. That's all I'm asking for.
Anyway, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. So until next time, I am Dylan Newell, and remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.